Turner did not ask his father who the other respectable gentleman was. As silence descended upon the dining room again, and the ticking of the break-front clock grew louder, he, too, gathered up his dishes and left his father sitting very still, his hands on the edge of the table. His mother was gone from the kitchen. Turner stacked his plate atop hers and then went out to the front porch and sat on the steps. The days were darkening earlier now, but down Parker Head he could still make out Mrs. Hurd's house, or what had been Mrs. Hurd's house. "I have some friends before me gone," he sang quietly. But the sound seemed so lonely and lost that he stopped before the chorus. He thought of Mrs. Hurd in some awful gown, confused and afraid, her hair uncombed in a well-lit ward under sheets white and starched, stretched tight across her chest, and he knew that she was thinking only one thing: if only she could light out for the territories. If only she could. So when he stepped into his father's study the next morning to begin the first formal day of tutelage, Turner was about as grim as a dark cloud lowering itself over a Sunday school picnic. He stood silent, watching his father finish drafting the day's assignment. The collar was tight and perfect around the Reverend's neck. His coat fell in folds as precise as those of a marble sculpture. Each sleeve of his starched shirt protruded the same amount from the coat, just enough to show the matched cufflinks gleaming silver. His nails were cut precisely to the pink. Turner wondered if his father had ever played baseball, had ever hit a fly into the air so blue that it hurt his eyes to look at it. He wondered if his father had ever joked around, out loud lied, gotten into a fight and pushed another kid's nose off to the side, jumped off a cliff about as high as a middle-sized pine into an oncoming froth of wave. Probably not. His father looked up. "Arma virumque cano," he said, his first words to his son that morning. "Arms I sing," said Turner, after more than a few moments. "Of arms I sing, and the man. Troique qui primus ab oris Italiam." And to the one who first came from Italy, no, from Troy, the coast of Troy to Italy, Fata profugus, fates, Turner, we've done this passage before. By fate, exiled by fate. Lavinicae venit litora, come to the shores of Lavinia. Reverend Buckminster handed Turner an ominously large book. Do the first 100 lines. He looked at the grandfather clock guarding the study's corner. An hour and a half should be enough. So Turner sat at a small desk by the window, a window closed tightly and imperiously against the sea breezes exiled by fate, and began the first 100 lines of the Aeneid. He tried not to sigh. He tried not to scratch too often. How was he to blame if dang Virgil was so ornery that he wouldn't give up his verbs until the very end of his sentences, as if he thought it would be a fine surprise to snap things around like a cat changing direction